Moving right along, I would like to introduce the third facilitator for the next discussion, and his name is Jose Santiago Bustos. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jose Santiago Bustos. I will be your facilitator for the third session, and I'm glad to see the enthusiasm and hear arguments and points of view of everyone. But it's time to start making a plan of action. Stop talking and start acting. Thank you. So, anyone would like to take the word? Anyone from the sites? From the Philippines, I think.
Can you repeat what you said, please?
He's asking, he's giving an opportunity to ask.
We will start talking about the plan of action and start arguing about it and suggest things. So, does anyone want to take the word?
Excuse me. Philippines, you had one question, I think, that if it wasn't being able to be posed to Ms. Abakil, perhaps propose it to the group.
Yes, we have.
Cheese. Hello. Good morning. I'm sorry, but my question was about. It was about leadership. It was, how are we supposed to lead if there is large discrimination upon us? Because sometimes when I have to get a point across in message boards or forums, I have to pretend to be someone else, like a guy. Because no one's going to believe a 14-year-old girl. Even if the points are valid, they won't believe them. They won't believe me. So I have to pretend to be someone else.
That's actually a really excellent question. And unfortunately, it's an unfortunate situation that you have to pretend to be someone else to have your ideas heard. However, that doesn't mean that your ideas are any less important. And I guess, the only thing I would say, I'm only a 16-year-old girl, so I totally understand. Just keep saying those ideas, because someone will listen eventually, and that's the only way that we can bring about a change. Is if we insist that we are valuable and that our ideas make a difference. Just keep going, and eventually, the stigma against the youth will hopefully disappear. I don't know, but perhaps. Does anyone else want to speak to this?
I think that there's also that dichotomy about the air of anonymity that you can possess while on the internet. Who says that you can't be anonymous? Just put your ideas out there. Are there any further statements? Perhaps from one of the neighboring sites.
Speak. Go for it. You don't have to speak into it, just talk. Okay, good morning. We are from the I'm from the nutrition sub-team, and we have one issue in our plan of action. We think malnutrition is a really important vital point for our country. Our country has a huge population, and many children and women are affected by malnutrition. We have realized that the points regarding malnutrition hasn't been added to the plan of action, and we are taking this as a serious concern, as many people are affected by malnourishment. So what are your comments on this? We are kindly making a request that the malnourishment points should be added, as it's a main concern to India. And it affects a lot of people. Yeah.
That's an excellent point. Does anyone want to say something? Okay.
We appreciate your concern and we're making the necessary edits to the plan of action. If there's any other concerns you have, you can let us know.
Okay. I'm from Clean Water and Sanitation. While I was going through the action plan, and the preamble towards the end there's a point recognizing that water-related diseases are one of the world's most significant health problems, causing more than 840,000 deaths each year. Now, and in the course of my research, it was found that world over it was 2.2 million people. And is this statistic the 100,000 deaths? Is it for a specific country or is it world over?
Thank you. I think from the Philippines, someone wants to talk. Yeah, please.
Can you hear me? Yes. Go. This question is not about our action plan, but for the question for the benefit of the global youth in general. It's obvious that every government has an overwhelming amount of problems to face when running a country. So my question is, how can the youth of nations encourage its governments to put priority on preserving the environment when these same governments are facing other and more often than not immediate challenges such as economical debt, widespread corruption, natural calamities, and national security issues?
Excellent question. Someone wants to answer it or say it on?
Hi, I think it's important to recognize as we as consumers do have the ability to put pressure on corporations, which are the main sources of pollution, deforestation, by putting pressure on them either through boycott or communication. I think that a sizable difference can be made and the government may follow suit. For those who do have representation in government, perhaps using that representation to elect leaders who are more ecologically minded.
So the speaker before the previous speaker, Mrs. Zan, she spoke about the responsibility we must have towards the environment and how we should contribute towards having a better environment. In our action plan, we had an operative clause where we spoke that schools should include activity-oriented lessons on environment to help children understand the significant global warming and other such effects and how they can contribute on their own level to make the world a better place. But that has been removed from the action plan. So we recommend that environmental education should be a major point in education to help combat the effects of environment in the world.
Thank you very much. Drafting team, make sure you get that down, environmental education. Would you like that in the education subtheme, or would you prefer that in sustainability and business?
I think education would be best.
Maybe you could put it in both places.
Okay, thank you.
We have another question on education. In our action plan, we talked about communities that are displaced from their homelands because of development projects or conflicts, and it's very important for these communities to get educated so that they have a source of income. And these communities also face assimilation problems wherever they go. They face language barriers, and we had added it to our preamble, but it's been cut out. So we recommend that the focus be on displaced communities also, as a large number of people are displaced all over the world.
I think that is a significant problem and an interesting point to make. Drafting team, do take that in mind. Thank you.
Just one more last.
Well, continue.
Just one more point about.
what we could do.
Should I continue?
Continue. Yeah, sure.
Just one more point in education. Here we mentioned about a concept of each one teach one, which can be done by students and is being followed in India, where students could participate in NGOs or campaigns during their vacations or spare times. And this was a major part of our operative clause, but which was omitted in the action plan. So we strongly recommend that it must be included again.
I do remember I'm a part of the education, I was a part of that on Friday. And could you explain that point just a bit more? I think the problem was that we didn't quite understand. If you could just explain this a little bit more, thank you.
See, each one teach one is a concept where a student learns from a teacher or school, but by chance goes and teaches the same subject to some other underprivileged kid in the evening or during vacations. So by this method, a student can reach to many other students, even if like fewer teach. For example, if in a school approximately 2,000 children learn, if each one could teach another child, 4,000 could be reached. This is the basic concept which is already being followed in India. We would like this idea to be followed all over the world.
Thank you so much, drafting team, take note.
I have a doubt. In the operative clause, I saw a point, encourage women from Sharia cultures to work. I believe that this can be expanded as there are many other cultures in the world where there's a gender disparity.
You say it louder. One more. Ask them if they want you to repeat it.
Did you hear? Were you able to hear me? Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, we were able to hear you about gender disparity, right? Well, I think that's a big problem because in some places of the world, women are not treated as they are, as they are meant to be treated. So this is a huge problem, and that will be great to discuss about it. So have to take note of this, and also someone like to say something.
Yeah, we have a note from one of the draft team leaders. Yeah, just to explain a few things about the draft.
For the draft on nutrition, we took out everything that said specifically where everything was from, but we did leave all of the statistics on India and malnutrition in India. The draft that we are currently using is posted on Google Docs, the updated version. You can look at it in the preamble. All of your statistics are still there.
Thank you. We'll look at the preamble for nutrition. You don't need to move it anything.
I had a point to make for
us.
Actually, I had while Mexico City was speaking, they spoke about a problem regarding rainwater harvesting. So we actually had few ideas which could help them improve their rainwater harvesting facilities. One was deepening of existing water reservoirs in which we students can participate during the dry seasons. Making the rainwater collected pure enough for drinking on a large scale is another big problem which we are facing. Our own solution would be to set up simple home filtering or purification plants which could be shared by communities if they are expensive. And we really think if many other countries are facing the same problem, so could they suggest few student solutions which we could add or implement in our country?
I'm sorry, could you please clarify your solution again?
My first solution was we could deepen the existing open water reservoirs, for example ponds and lakes, during the dry season when there is no rainfall. This could be done by students through NGOs which are actually working to deepen these existing water bodies. This could help us collect more water when there is rainfall, so the volume of the water we collect increases. This water collected could be purified using simple methods. For example, by installing a filtering or purification plant at our homes, or if they're expensive, they could be done in a community. People would come together and they could have one filtration or purification plant. And then we could, I had asked the question if any other country has any other solution which we could implement to improve the quality of water which we're drinking.
Okay, so well, that's a great solution from India, and also we're getting a mail from a student from Karachi. It says, "Hi, my name is Mohammed Haris, and I'm a student of Karachi High School from Pakistan. I have a question about education. In several areas in Pakistan, children don't attend schools because fears armed conflict. Even after the conflicts are solved, the children are too afraid to leave their homes. How do we solve these psychological issues, which are very few around here?"
That's a really good question coming from a student that has experienced how much their peers have the tragic incident of the terrorist attack in Peshawar Army School, and would be better security, which I can see because I'm from Pakistan too. I know their security needs a lot of development and stuff. Like they have one security guard in front of the school. I think there needs to be more involvement with the security, basically.
Why is she smiling?
It's a great solution about these psychological problems. Then to stop these armed conflicts, that's another.
Yeah, I have
So-
a solution to them.
Yes, from India. Do you want to say
Yeah.
something? Or
Yeah, I want to say a solution for the armed conflict problem. Here, not only increasing the security, the email stated that people are afraid to go to school even after the conflict is over. So I think setting up of proper rehabilitation centers for students would send them properly back to school and make them learn.
So that they can get over the shock
So that they can get over their shock and learn properly.
mentally.
So my solution would be rehabilitation centers.
Recreational programs too.
And also they could have recreational programs to change the mindset of the children so that they would prefer education even if conflict is there.
The point was made, however, that there are that psychologists are few and far between. How do you suggest we get around that problem?
See, the main point of rehabilitation centers is trying to change their mind and psychologically trying to change their mind about the whole conflict. And during the process of conflict, they would be, I think, shocked, and they would have very bad thoughts about going to school and what will happen on the way to school. So this method could change their brain ideas about going to school and would make them go to school.
No, I'm simply asking where would we get the psychologists to run this program?
Where would you get the psychologist?
Hello. We could look at the use of internet as one way of communicating to get past the stress that would be dealt in cases of conflict, and where people are in shock. One way would be by talking about recreational programs through the internet. As we would create pages such as social websites would be a good way to start off. And also by sharing this, we would get people to believe in themselves and get back to school.
Anyway, we could have empathy towards these people and have proper community strength, and this could lead to bring in more psychologists. In sense, like the speaker was talking about how we could come together as students. Not only this, not only students here, and I don't think students play a major role in the conflicted areas, but people or psychologists could come up on their own as a community or together as one and help those people in conflicted areas.
Um, I absolutely agree with you, and there's also this thing called PPA in Pakistan, which is Pakistan Psychological Association, and they actually have partnerships with universities and NGOs and stuff in Pakistan. So I think PPA involvement can be a help for the children as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, education could also be a solution to this problem. If one psychologist could come and teach 10 people how to handle such situations, then those 10 people from the community itself could support the people who were in shock and help them get over their trauma. And also empathy from the community, from everyone in the community, whether they're psychologists or not, could really help children get back to school and get back to a proper mental state.
And actually, this is a great point because education is the base of every solution. So if we have education, we can solve almost any problem. So we should first solve these problems in these kind of places that are in armed conflicts, such as Pakistan. So we, as society, can progress and make a better world.
And if there are any other comments from any of the other sites, there's no order here, so if you have a comment, please don't hesitate.
Go check it. Yeah, from the Philippines.
From the Philippines, we have a comment from the Philippines.
Answers. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would want to answer the question about the psychologist one. Oh. You asked where we could get these psychologists, right? So I was thinking more about WHO also, and also Red Cross, because they provide doctors. So why can't they provide different psychologists also if they could provide them with doctors? Yeah.
Did you get that, guys?
Yes, I think that bringing in psychologists into humanitarian aid groups would be an interesting idea, something good to implement.
I have a question. In the operator class, I saw that
Sorry,
they have
just a
to give
moment. We had just a moment. Sorry, we had a question over here. The mic wasn't working. Just one moment. You can ask your question next. Just a moment.
There was a question from India earlier about clean water and sanitation. You asked if any other countries had come up with any solutions, and our sub-theme actually we came up with, we did a bit of a study on how oysters are natural filtration devices, and our co-chair Brian would actually know a lot more about that. So Brian, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Oysters have the capability to filter about 21 liters of water a day. One of the biggest case studies that has been done was that of the Chesapeake Bay area in where's the Chesapeake? Oh, the Chesapeake Bay. Due to overfishing of the oysters, what was noticed was the water quality tanked horribly. But once oysters were reintroduced, the water quality increased dramatically. It has been observed that 1 acre's worth of oysters are capable of filtering 72 million liters of water. So by introducing oysters into major bodies of water with the ecological side of that in mind, that it is a very natural and effective solution.
Thank you. We had one more way of purification of water, which is economically feasible. It is a ceramic pot filtration system. It is actually 4 layers of gravel, charcoal, coarse sand, which are kept together. So when the water passes through all these layers, it gets purified. Like each layer removes a particular bacteria or the germ or the impurity in the water. So this could also be one of the solutions to the problem of dirty clean water.
Okay, so you was talking about the super saiyan strategy, India.
I have a.
Can you repeat?
Okay, so the strategy that you was talking about with the sand, were you talking about the super sand strategy, where it's put into a container and they put sand, I think like you said coal, and then they let the dirty water go through and they purifies it. It's a purifier.
Yeah.
Okay, and also another thing that's a purifier is the life straw. And what is it? It was the Mexican solar powered water purifier, which gives you about 2,500 liters of water a day. So that's another solution.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Just
And then,
one more thing.
back to India with your question that we diverted from. Go ahead.
Before that, we also have a way to treat acid rain. When acid rain is collected in a tank, which is due to rainwater harvesting, which is covered in the sides with limestone, the acid is utilized and the water can be used. So this is a method to treat acid rain.
It could be done throughout the world.
And it's very economical and it could be done throughout the world also.
Thank you for the proposal. Well, is anyone else interested about talking? Yes, please.
I do.
I was interested about the issue with sending the psychologist to the certain area. When she asked about where are we going to get the psychologist, do you think that we should have the psychologist from the United States or should it be from another country? And how will they be able to go over there and provide a help to the children who are going through these traumatic times?
Yes, over there.
I don't really think we need a lot of psychologists to have solved this problem, because I feel like as I suggested, I think a psychologist, like a few psychologists, can teach a lot of people what they like. In this case, we are battling the situation where people are afraid to go to school because of terrorism attacks and the crisis going outside into society. I think they should rather focus on a few psychologists there and teach the people in society the methods in kind of convincing the kids to actually go to school, rather than trying to get volunteers from all over the world going. That will actually cost more money and more time.
Just making them, tell how they feel.
Yes.
To answer the question, I think the best psychologist, as you said, we shouldn't get so many, but the best psychologist would be the one that's closer to that place, since he would understand the event, he understand the people really well, than someone abroad or far away.
To add on to what they said, I absolutely agree with them, because in this matter, it's about quality than quantity, and I think a few psychologists can work together and, go to different schools and organizations and have sessions with the students and stuff and make a difference, basically.
I would like to talk about, at my school, Souderton Area High School, we have a program called the Team Talk Line, which is a student-run organization which accepts emails, phone calls, and texts to help the people who phone, email, contact them anonymously to help with their problems, whether it be psychological or otherwise. And I think that something like this implemented on a large scale with trained psychologists could be effective.
Well, also talking about the psychologists, I think the psychologists will need to be volunteer because we cannot force them to go to places where they maybe don't want to go. So these psychologists will be volunteer. And also talking about sanitation and clean water, in Mexico, in our school, we have a program to clean a dam that it's called Madin in Mexico. So to clean this water, we went in boats and started picking up trash so we could clean this water and could progress in this problem. So if any other school could do that, would be great because we will be going on step by step and make a better world.
Yes. Yes, our friends, we have a suggestion actually for the psychologists. Like for example, it's very important that one from the community would be engaged to deal with these kinds of things. But however, if we want a global standard, then I think it's possible that we get a trainer of a psychologist from the WHO or from any entity of the United Nations to train those psychologists who come from the community itself that it will help. So that the engagement would be proactive from the community and also the world, so that we can address the familiarity issues, because when it comes to psychology, it's emotions, feelings attached with the people that are involved. So I think it's important that we have a global standard wherein we can have psychologists from one of the entities of the United Nations, and also to engage local psychologists in the area to mobilize and to help in the promotion of positive vibes and to solve the problems in that area. So I think it's not just in the local, but I think it's a global. In the global, in the sense that we can get the expertise of the global psychologists, and then multiplier effect going down to the local communities. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great solution. Psychologists.
I also have another.
I think we had a comment from here in New York. Go ahead.
Okay. Just to switch topics a bit, during our studies, when we were learning about the cultures in all these different countries, mainly my focus was in sub-Saharan Africa, we learned that a lot of these problems, the places with high child mortality rates and high rates of disease, are due to the gender norms and the sexism in their cultures. And how would you guys propose we go about solving problems there if their very culture is against it?
Anyone who has a comment, feel free to
I have a question.
So I have an answer for the gender norms question. Usually, something that would break gender norms is when people let women do something empowering or something that would show men that they are equal. Like let them speak in public or let them tell stories of how brave they are for experiencing something violent and harsh, and how they can equally do things as well as men.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Keep going. You can go ahead.
Thank you.
I think.
All
Sure.
right. I'm very sorry. So basically, my point is, so that people could see that men and women are equal. What my suggestion is, they would let women speak and testify their strengths, so that they can be aware, men can be aware that we are equal.
And I definitely just wanted to add the comment. Sorry, I'm getting okay. We're good. I think that is an excellent point, and definitely justifying gender norms. I think that's a really good step, and also to be able to do that, women need to get an education. Which I know in the education group we talked a lot about that, about how when you educate a woman, you educate a village. And population growth is directly proportional to a woman's education. The more education she has, the less children she has, or the later in life she has them, and so that can also solve a lot of issues. So I definitely think that it's a huge issue, and we're going to probably talk about it more this afternoon. And India, I don't know if you had a comment about that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. There was an operator clause where we should give a federal living wage to people to combat hunger. I believe this is not feasible because in a country such as India, there are a large number of people who are hungry, and in other governments, most of them are in debt. So I don't think it will be. I personally believe it may not be feasible, as it will put more countries into a further debt.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the issue with providing a living wage. I don't think the suggestion was to provide welfare, but rather that the minimum wage should be one that a person can live off of.
Is it feasible though? Means to countries to spend a large amount of money to give their people money? Means when we're talking about development also on the sidelines.
The money is not coming from the government per se, but it's coming from the corporations for which these employees and people are employed under. We're suggesting a forced corporate policy wherein people who do work for them can actually survive off the wage they are provided.
Well, what about for people who are unemployed?
Well, so we have 2 more minutes for I think 2 comments or anything. So just the conclusion comments, then we'll debate. And yes.
I just want to go back to the question of gender norms. I think that first before women start to talk and testify, they first need to be encouraged that they can do so. Because without encouragement, they will not be they will not want to talk or to testify or to say that they can be equal as men. So they first need to be encouraged first. That's all I wanted to point out.
So perhaps an example, maybe women who are in power or women around the world maybe can set an example who are in the circumstance where they can. Maybe perhaps that would be an example like the He for She campaign with Emma Watson and everything, just having an example of a woman who has that power and using her voice. Maybe if we could have more of that, things like that. Go ahead, Tasha.
Oh, and with what you said, we can always have a females awareness program, which can empower girls and show them what they're capable of, giving them hope that they have a say so in things, that they're as equal as men. So if we can do make the word spread about it, we can give more women hope.
Well, we received another email from another student from Karachi. It says, "Hello, my name is Sarim Ahmed Khan. and I'm from Karachi High School, Karachi, Pakistan. I have a question regarding education for girls in rural areas. What happens is that most parents don't allow the girls to go to school because they have this mentality that there is no use of sending girls to schools. It's better to keep them at home and teach them to do their daily tasks because soon they'll have to get married and take care of their new family. Early marriage is also a big issue in rural areas where girls get married at any age of 9 to 13. Now, what can we do to make people aware of this difficult situation? Well, I have a personal experience in a model of this United Nations that they proposed making campaigns or media impact so these parents that have this mentality could change their way of thinking, not in anything of religion, just in this part of equality, and send their children, their girls, to school because they're not only the housekeepers, they could also be presidents, etc. So this is my solution for the girls in rural areas, and I think we're out of time. So.
Yeah, I want to apologize. Thank you so much for everyone who has made any comments, but we can resume with the girls' education after our break. We will be reconvening at 12:25 Eastern Standard Time. And again, thank you so much. We will just continue deliberations. Thank you so much, everybody.